In this tutorial, we'll just take a look at some simple particle tricks like this little animation here where this one particle is following the faces of the sphere like this. Because some of you might not know how to set it up and you might need it for whatever reason. Every little trick helps when dealing with these particles. Alright, so we'll run through the setup. It's pretty straightforward. Alright, I'll stop that animation. Easiest way, of course, is just to get rid of it altogether. That way you see it from scratch. Alright, I'll move my cursor to the center and I'll add a sphere to the scene. I'll move it up, scale it up a little bit. Notice I've actually have my cursor positioned at the center right there. This is my 3D cursor, rotation and scaling and things around that cursor, which just happens to be at the center. Alright, let's go get a color. We'll use that same one. So to do this, it's quite straightforward. All I want is one of these faces from the sphere, and I'll go into edit mode and make sure I'm in face select down here, and I'll grab one like this, and I want to separate it. But before I actually separate it, because then I'm not sure if I separate it, then there'll be a hole at that location. So I'll leave edit mode first and I'll make a copy of the sphere. So I'll shift D and click. Now I have two copies in there. So there's sphere.001. If I right click, there's sphere dot just regular sphere. So I'll get the second sphere and go into edit mode, and now I'll separate it like this with P, and now it's a separate object. You see the dot went away. Okay, then I can get back here and then I can erase that. Alright, so I delete it, and so this sphere is one object, and then that right there is the other object. And to make it separate, I'll press U, make it a separate object, material, things like that, turn it into a different color. I'll use the existing yellow that I was using. That's pretty good contrast to it like that. So now it's on the sphere like this, and I'll give it a particle system. I'll crank up some particles. Maybe make this 250 and crank up the normal like that so it shoots out pretty fast. And then all I need to do is we'll verify that Alt-A, there it is shooting out the edge of the sphere like that. And then, since the purpose of having this set here at the 3D cursor, because my cursor is set at the origin, and when I place the sphere in here, the sphere was at the origin as well. I've just raised it up in Z, so I'll look at it from above like this in wireframe. There's my cursor down below. So now all I want to do is rotate this on Z, and it won't matter that it's elevated up above in Z, just as long because I'm only rotating around the Z axis. So I'll come down here and I'll press I, get a rotation keyframe, and then I'll come up here to say 260 and I'll press RZ and I'll rotate it around Z, I don't know, maybe 1.5 times, and then I'll press I, rotation. I'll go back into shaded mode out of there, and then let's run it. Let's see where it is. And so there it is. And so it makes it look like it's part of the sphere. In fact, even in that case, it almost looks like it slightly interferes with it. You can tell because it's exactly at the same location, so it doesn't know which to display first. So you might want to come in here and just scale this down. Whoops. Ever so slightly. Like that. Actually, in that case, let me Control Z that. Let me see if that's still playing. Alright, it's still playing there, but in that case, what I really should do is then make my cursor back to the selected before I scale it. And now I'll scale it down some. Now let's run it. It's almost better in this mode. You can actually see it better. Let's make sure it's cruising all the way around. There it goes. It's cruising the scene. Okay, well, every little trick helps because you never know what you might try and do or what kind of job you're required to do or something of that nature. Alright, well, that's it for this lesson, and I'll see you in the next lesson.